Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of our podcast called the Motorcycle Podcast. Now we are back after a long break, and yes, since we're back now, again, we're going to discuss some races that happened in the past couple of weeks, especially in MotoGP and in World Superbike. So let's begin this race special podcast after this intro. Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast. And now, as I've told you before, we missed the schedule of our podcast for a couple of weeks. So we're going to quickly go through some of the races that happened in the past couple of weeks and tell you what happened exactly in those races. So we're going to discuss 2 World Superbike races and 1 MotoGP race in this episode. So let's begin this episode with a World Superbike race in Prosecco DOC Aragon, where Scott Redding and Jonathan Rea showed some tremendous racing moments and a weekend where we saw the championship lead change hands. So let's begin with analyzing the first race that happened in Aragon. Aragon saw a fantastic change of hands in the championship lead as Scott Redding from the Aruba Ducati team took victory after an intense battle with Jonathan Rea. Scott Redding started the race in 3rd place, while poleman Jonathan Rea had a poor start. Rea took that chance fantastically well as he took the lead after some laps. Then on lap 7, he was passed by Redding and he was behind Redding for quite some time. But as you all know, Redding's Ducati's straight line speed is so much that it kept Redding ahead, although Rea continued to pressurize the rider throughout the race. Both changed positions for a while, but in the end, Redding took the lead as Rea, trying to overtake, went wide. Now, a few laps later, TVs passed Rea and started to close the gap on Redding, but he managed to complete the race in 2nd position behind Redding, where he lost out from his Ducati teammate by 3/10. The pair claimed a Ducati 1-2 finish after a long time, reclaiming a 3rd place position on the podium on his 150th start for the Kawasaki racing team. Michael Ruben Rinaldi of Team Co-11 secured 4th place in the race and continued his impressive form, with the Italian rider attacking the positional place of Michael van der Mark, who eventually finished in 5th. Meanwhile, Toprak Razgatlioglu, I can't pronounce his name properly, fought his way back through the field to claim 6th place after finishing 10 seconds behind his teammate. Now, Loris Bass of 10K Racing Yamaha classified in 7th place despite starting on the front row. He took the lead in the start, but in the end, he lost out as he fought with Xavi Forés and eventually finished in 7th place. Federico Caricasulo of the GRT Yamaha World Superbike Junior team finished in 9th place, with Leon Haslam of Team HRC completing the top 10. Leandro Mercado claimed an 11th place finish ahead of Sylvain Barrier in 12th. Roman Ramos marked his 100th World Superbike start with a points finish as the Spaniard completed his first race since his return to the championship. Takumi Takahashi of the MIE Racing Althea Honda team scored his first points finish of the 2020 season with 15th in race 1. Eugene Laverty of the BMW Motorrad World Superbike official team finished in 16th place. After a dramatic start, the Irish rider came off his bike on the lap to the grid. Even though Laverty was given the ride-through penalty during the race, he still was able to finish ahead of Lorenzo Gabellini of the MIE Racing Althea Honda team. Christoph Ponson of the Nuovo M2 racing team had a crash during the race in the corkscrew section, which made the Frenchman pulled out of the race on his Aprilia, while Alex Lowe's of the Kawasaki Racing World Superbike team retired from the race. Lowe's came off his bike over the crest of the hill, which meant he eventually retired from the race. Tom Sykes of the BMW Motorrad World Superbike team pitted in the early stages of the race, while Garrett Gerloff also suffered a crash in the first half of the race. Alvaro Bautista and Maximilian Shape both retired from the race after separate incidents on the same lap. Now, the top 6 riders following the race 1 result are Scott Redding of Aruba Ducati in the number 1 position, Chaz Davies of Aruba Ducati in number 2 position, Jonathan Rea of Kawasaki Racing Team in 3rd position, Michael Ruben Rinaldi of Team Co-11 In 4th position, Michael van der Mark of Pata Yamaha in 5th position, and Toprak Razgatlioglu of Pata Yamaha in 6th position. So it was an intense race where the championship lead changed place, and Scott Redding once again showed who's the boss. With this race, we move on to the Super Bowl race that happened after this one. Let's analyze the Super Bowl race that happened after race 1, where Rea claimed his 4th consecutive Super Bowl victory. Now, Sunday weekend moved ahead. Jonathan Rea claimed victory in the Tissot Super Bowl race in Motorland, Aragon, as he secured his pole position for race 2. In the beginning, Rea fell behind Wsbk, similar to race 1, but took 2 corners to regain the lead. He pulled away from the chasing group to claim victory in the Super Bowl race. Alvaro Bautista secured 4th place after the Spanish rider passed Alex Loos on closing laps of the 10-lap race. Bautista finally secured his best result of 2020 and Honda's first top 4 finish since Buriram race in 2018. Chaz Davies managed to pass Loos on the final lap, making the 7-time Aragon race winner Davies to start the race 2 in 5th. Toprak Razgatlioglu of Pata Yamaha Wsbk official team battled his way up from 11th place and secured a 3rd row start in the race 2. Michael Ruben Rinaldi of Team Go 11 fell back during the race but was able to claim a 9th place finish to take a 3rd row start for race 2. Drama was seen on lap 1 when Tom Sykes of the BMW Motor Red Bull Wsbk team went off the track at turn 8 and 9 corkscrew section after battling with Chaz Davies. He rejoined the circuit and then made contact with Leandro Mercado as the Argentinian rider came off his bike and had to retire from the race. Sykes was surprisingly able to continue with the race. It was a horrendous day for the Argentinian rider as Mercado had to be taken to the medical center for a checkup after the incidents, and Sykes was placed under investigation. So, in an eventful 10-lap race, Jonathan Rea took the victory while Scott Redding came in 2nd. Michael van der Mark came in 3rd as Alvaro Bautista came in 4th. Chaz Davies made it to 5th as Alex Loos made it to 6th. With this race completed in a jiffy, it was time for the all-important race 2. Now in race 2, Jonathan Rea secured his 2nd win in Aragon while Bautista got his first podium after a while. Now in the race 2, Jonathan Rea of the Kawasaki Racing team reclaimed his championship lead with the race 2 victory at Motorland Aragon. He started the race from pole position and despite pressure from Scott Redding was able to pull back from the chasing pack. Rea led in every lap throughout the race despite a mistake on lap 14. Due to the mistake, it allowed Chaz Davies to close in the gap, and despite Davies attempting move after move on Rea held on to take the eventual victory. Alvaro Bautista started the race in 4th place. He moved ahead of Redding in early stages of the race as he claimed his first podium for Honda and Honda's first podium since Magny-Cours in 2016. Redding finished the race in 4th place after being passed by Bautista and Davies. The British rider made a move on Michael van der Mark on lap 4 to secure himself that 4th place. Michael Ruben Rinaldi of Team Go 11 claimed 5th place with Michael van der Mark finishing in 6th. Leon Haslam finished in 7th place after a monumental battle with 5 riders which were right behind his tail. Toprak Razgatlioglu claimed 8th position while Alex Loos took the 9th position. Garrett Gerloff completed the top 10 as there was just 1 second separating Haslam, Razgatlioglu, Loos and Gerloff. So Gerloff had to fight a lot for that position, but he still managed to complete a top 10 finish. Xavi Forest had a very good result in 11th place, finishing less than 10th of a second behind American rider Gerloff as a part of the group of 5 riders. Tom Sykes was the lead BMW rider in 12th place. Federico Caricasulo finished around 3 seconds behind Sykes in 13th. Eugene Laverty and Maximilian Schiep completed the points with 14th and 15th place. Sylvain Barrier, Christoph Ponson, Takumi Takahashi, and teammate Lorenzo Gabellini all managed to finish the race. Loris Bass unfortunately had to retire from the race following a crash on lap 4 at turn 15. The French rider was unable to rejoin the race. Marco Melandri had to retire with a technical issue, and Roman Ramos retired from the race on the penultimate lap. So the top 6 riders following this Wsbk race 2 were Jonathan Rea in first position, Chaz Davies in second position, Alvaro Bautista in third, Scott Redding in fourth position, Michael Ruben Rinaldi in fifth position, and Michael van der Mark in sixth position. It was a race of twists and turns in Motorland Aragon as the championship lead changed hands, starting from race 1 and eventually ending up with Jonathan Rea in race 2. So it was an eventful round, and it was an intense race between the two main rivals. The rest of the pack tried to do their best, but it was eventually the two main riders in the 2020 season that took the honors in Motorland Aragon. So this was the race analysis of the Motorland Aragon GP, and with that we move on to a MotoGP race which happened in Styria round. So as the race happened 2 weekends back, Oliveira, Miller and Paul Espargaro took the race to the final corner as eventually Miguel Oliveira won the 900th GP race in MotoGP Styria. Yes, if we talk about the race, it was a dramatic and an insane red-flagged BMW Grand Prix of Styria where Miguel Oliveira of the Red Bull KTM Tech 3 team defeated Jack Miller of Pramac Racing and Paul Espargaro of the Red Bull KTM Factory Racing in the final corner on the final lap to take his first MotoGP win in the 900th Premier Class race. Oliveira handed Portugal and the Tech 3 team with their first Premier Class wins in his 150th Grand Prix race. When the race started, dark clouds crept over the Styrian mountains at the start of the race to raise the pulsating tension which was already there. A flag-to-flag race looked like a ever-increasing possibility as the clouds gathered around the racetrack. Now, despite the cloudy day, it was a dry start to the race where Joan Mir of Team Suzuki X-Star got off to a fantastic start from P3 to snatch the first position from the pole sitter Paul Espargaro. Miller also got away well from the fourth on the grid as the talented Australian rider wasted no time in getting past Espargaro. Now, before you know it, Miller was leading the race even though he was facing terrible shoulder trouble. Now, despite a good start, Mir was forced to drop a position as he ran wide in the beginning laps at the start of the race. Fabio Quartararo of the Petronas Yamaha SRT team had a bad start he was not looking for. The championship leader dropped to P14 after he ran wide at turn 1. Andre Dovizioso of the Ducati team made a good start and was up to 6th on lap 2. As the race went on, Miller was holding the pole position with Mir and Takaki Nakagami in hot pursuit. The Japanese rider eventually got the better of Paul Espargaro on the opening laps as the three riders slowly pulled clear of the chasing pack. Lap 5 saw Mir lead the race while Miller and Nakagami saw themselves half a second clear of Paul Espargaro and Alex Rins. On lap 8, the leading trio was 1 second clear of everyone else. Maverick Vinales though looked good in 7th, but the number 12, Quartararo and Valentino Rossi were struggling to maintain good pace as they were running in P9, P10 and P11. Now, Quartararo's brake issues started to plague again as the Frenchman had to look into his brakes during the middle of the race. His title rival, Dovizioso, also could not show the pace he had shown all weekend as he was not able to catch the leading trio. Now up front, Mir stretched his lead, and by lap 13, Mir's lead was up by 1.3 seconds. The chasing duo of Miller and Nakagami were left behind, but were 2 seconds clear of the next chasing pack of Paul Espargaro and Alex Rins. Nakagami eventually got the better of Miller on lap 16. The LCR man made his move at turn 6 and he set his sights on Mir. But there was drama which was about to happen in Styria. A few laps prior, Vinales slowed up and held his hand up to suggest something was wrong with his YZR M1. But due to no confirmation from his pit crew, he continued the race. Then, with 12 laps to go, the Spaniard bailed out as he jumped off his bike in turn 1 due to a brake failure. His machine rocketed into the fence in turn 1, deflating the fence as his bike went up in flames. Thankfully, Vinales was able to walk away mostly unharmed in the incident. The incident eventually brought the race to a halt as the red flags came out. When the lights went out for a second time, Mir again got off to a perfect start from pole, with Miller getting stuck in third. Paul Espargaro got away from the line well, but he ran wide, allowing Miller to regain ground in turn 2 and 3. Miller started to lead the race as the GP20's brutal speed became too much for Mir's GSX RR. Nakagami got left behind this time at the start as Japanese rider dropped to 7th. Just like the opening race, KTM's Oliveira and Binder were scrapping to fight for P4. Miller set the race pace with a blistering 1:23.928 lap, as the pace in the restarted race was electric. With 8 laps to go in the race, Paul Espargaro set the fastest lap of the race. The KTM rider eventually made his move over Mir on turn 3. The number 44 was then all over the back of Miller. Paul attempted a pass in turn 1 but went wide, allowing Miller to blast straight past him. This move eventually made Oliveira and Mir close in the Portuguese rider as he was up into third. Dovi had a difficult race as he went wide in turn 1. Then he again went wide in turn 9 with 6 laps to go. He desperately tried to get close in on the leaders as the race moved into the final laps. With 6 laps remaining, it became a fight between the lead group of 7, with Binder losing touch as he ran wide in turn 1. Paul took the lead from Miller at turn 9, but he wasn't able to pull away clearly. Mir ran wide in turn 4, allowing Dovizioso to grab 4th as Miller and Oliveira were all over the back of Paul's RC16. The top 5 riders were close. However, Mir and Dovizioso dropped off the pace slightly, with Dovi running wide again in turn 9. Heading on to the last lap, the battle was between the two KTMs and the Ducati. Paul Espargaro versus Miller versus Oliveira was about to happen. 2 riders chasing their first win and 1 chasing their first dry race win was on the cards. Paul led in the beginning of the last lap and got a pull out of the first corner. Coming into the braking zone, Paul went ultra defensive. This move compromised his exit as Miller used the power of his Ducati to reel in the KTM. Miller was alongside Paul and made the move stick into a tricky downhill right-hander. Miller held firm through the left-handers while Paul got the run up the hill and swerved inside to go underneath Miller. This was tantalizing as it all came down to the final corner. Getting a better run down in turn 1, Miller braked late and dived underneath Paul. This made the duo go wide, and guess who was waiting in the wings to pick up the pieces? Yes, you guessed it right, it was Miguel Oliveira. Staying in his race line, Oliveira blasted past Miller and Pole to seal a historic victory for himself, Portugal and Tech 3 team. Miller picked up his second Red Bull rostrum of 2020, with Pole claiming the P3 for his first dry podium in MotoGP. 0.50 was the eventual time difference between the podium finishers. In the end, we feel sorry for Mir. 2 seconds clear before the red flag, the rider was on his way to a maiden Premier Class win. But eventually it wasn't to be. Mir used a heavy front tire in the race too, which eventually cost him the race. Dovizioso couldn't make it 2 from 2, although he closed the gap to Quartararo, with the gap now being just 3 points. Another unfortunate victim of the red flag was Nakagami. He had to settle for P7 in Styria after looking odds-on favourite to pick up his first maiden podium. Binder's turn 1 run cost him a chance of a top 6 finish. It was a dismal day for Vinales, as the crash meant 0 points from Styria. Quartararo's P13 finish keeps him top of the standing. 10th place went in the way of rookie Iker Lecuona, who rounds off a fantastic day for Red Bull KTM Tech 3 team. This was Spaniard's second top 10 on the row, as the 20-year-old crossed the line half a second behind 9-time world champion Valentino Rossi. Danilo Petrucci and Alex Espargaro finished ahead of Quartararo, with Johan Zarco and Franco Morbidelli completing the points positions. Finally, if we analyze the race in totality, now 3 points is the difference between Quartararo and Dovizioso. This has spiced things up for the next race. Miller now is just 13 points adrift from these two, which adds in the excitement, with 6 points separating Binder in 4th and Oliveira in 9th. 2020 has officially erupted, and no other sport on the planet right now is as exciting as MotoGP. So with this, we end the analysis of the Styrian race. It was a phenomenal race, as discussed, where everything possible that we could imagine happened. It was an eventful race, and we saw another new winner in the race. So after the race, the top 10 riders were Miguel Oliveira in the first position, Jack Miller took the second position, Pol Espargaro in third, Joan Mir took the fourth position, Andre Dovizioso took the fifth position, Alex Rins took the sixth position, Takaki Nakagami had to settle for seventh, while Brad Binder was in eighth. Dr. Valentino Rossi was in ninth, as the rookie Iker Lecuona was in 10th. So with this race now done, let's move on to the Teruel round of Wsbk race that happened a week after that. So we start off the analysis with race 1, where Michael Ruben Rinaldi won his first Wsbk race. Now, Motul Superbike World Championship saw a new face on the podium, as Michael Ruben Rinaldi of Team Go11 claimed his maiden victory in race 1 for the Pirelli Teruel round in Motorland Aragon. Rinaldi had started the second on the grid, as he made his way through the race and won the race for the first time in his World Superbike career. Rinaldi held the second place on the opening lap and used the straight line speed of his Ducati to pass Jonathan Rea on turn 16 of the opening lap. From there, he lapped consistently faster than the regaining champion to claim himself the first position. Rea finished the race in second place and gained 20 points on the championship rival Scott Redding, who crashed out in lap 7. Redding was under pressure from Alvaro Bautista, as he managed to crash in lap 7, which meant Rea has taken the 20 points lead after race 1. This crash meant the champion is now 30 points clear of Reading. The other Aruba Ducati racing team rider, Chaz Davies, claimed a podium as the two Ducati machines finished in top 3. Davies battled for third with Batista before the Spanish rider crashed out in lap 14 in turn 14 and retired from the race. Michael van der Mark finished in 4th place as the lead Yamaha rider, 1 place ahead of fellow teammate Toprak Razgatlioglu. Alex Lowe's battled illness to take a 6th place finish after battling throughout the race with a lot of riders. Eugene Lavety claimed 8th position, with Federico Caricasulo claimed a top 10 finish in front of Tom Sykes. Garrett Gerloff finished in 11th place, while Loris Baz took the 12th position. Xavi Forés secured a 13th place finish, while Matteo Ferrari secured points on his World Superbike debut. Takumi Takahashi completed the points place. Maximilian Chiep was the last qualified rider in 16th position. Unfortunately, Batista and Redding did not complete the race alongside Roman Ramos, Marco Melandri, Sylvain Barrier. All of them retired from the race. Now, it was an exciting race where we saw a new race winner, which has been the trend of MotoGP and World Superbike racing in 2020, where Michael Ruben Rinaldi finally got his first victory in his World Superbike career and took away the number 1 spot from Jonathan Rea and Chaz Davies. So the race saw the crash of the main rival for Jonathan Rea, which meant Johnny Rea now is 30 points clear of his main championship rival, Scott Redding. So the top 6 riders following the race 1 were Michael Ruben Rinaldi, who came in first for the Go 11 team. Jonathan Rea for Kawasaki Racing Team came in 2nd. Chaz Davies for the Aruba Ducati team came in 3rd. Michael van der Mark for Pada Yamaha came in 4th. Toprak Razgatlioglu for Pada Yamaha came in 5th. With Alex Lowe's for Kawasaki Racing Team came in 6th. Now, with that exciting race which came to an end, it was time for the Super Bowl race in the Teruel weekend. In the Super Bowl race, Scott Redding, main championship rival of Jonathan Rea, scored a stunning victory as he bounced back from his race 1 crash. He took his first bowl victory of the season in the Tissot Super Bowl race. Redding started from 3rd as he passed race 1 winner Michael Ruben Rinaldi, and then he passed Jonathan Rea at turn 15 on the opening lap. Redding managed the gap beautifully to Rea as he claimed victory and took his 10th World Superbike podium. Rea took the 2nd position, while Rinaldi secured his 2nd podium in 2 races. Alvaro Batista finished in 4th place after a strong showing in the race. It took us, the Spanish rider, a thrilling battle where he won and took over the 4th place from Chaz Davies. Chaz Davies had to eventually finish in 5th, and Alex Lowe's finished in 6th. Toprak Razgatlioglu of the Pata Yamaha World Superbike team claimed a 7th place finish after a late charge from Leon Haslam. The British rider eventually finished in 8th place, while Tom Sykes completed the front 3 rows for the race 2 after finishing in 9th place in the Super Bowl race. It was an exciting Super Bowl race where we saw the main rival from Jonathan Rea, which was Scott Redding. He managed to overcome his race 1 mishap with a fantastic win as he secured his first Super Bowl win of the season. Jonathan Rea consolidated his lead with a 2nd place, while Michael Ruben Rinaldi scored his 3rd podium on the row. It's his 2nd podium on the row. So a fantastic race for all of these 3 as they took the top honors in the Super Bowl race, while Alvaro Batista came in, secured a brilliant 4th position, and Chaz Davies and Alex Lowe finished up the top 6 with 5th and 6th. Now, with this intense race done, it was time for the race 2 in the Teruel round. Now, in the Teruel round, the main headline read, Jonathan Rea takes his 96th World Superbike career victory. Yes, Jonathan Rea again wins another race and further consolidated his lead at the top of the championship rankings. Jonathan Rea fought hard with Michael Rubin Rinaldi throughout the race as he took his championship lead to 36 points. The pair fought majority of the 18-lap race, with eventually Rea coming on top. Redding passed Jonathan Rea on the opening lap at turn 13 to take the lead in the race, but he eventually was not able to get past Rea when the checkered flag was up. Michael Rubin Rinaldi took advantage of the Redding-Rea battle on lap 6. As they went wide, Rinaldi was able to cut back through turn 9 and got the run on both the riders as he went inside Redding to take the lead. Now Redding and Jonathan Rea fought in the beginning of the race on the opening lap as Redding took the lead. Michael Rubin Rinaldi was right behind them, and once they, in between their battle, went wide, Rinaldi was able to cut back through turn 9 and got a run on both the riders as he went and took the lead for the first time. Rea, who was behind Redding at that point of time, somehow managed to go ahead and pull a gap of nearly 1 second to Redding. After that overtaking move, Rea took 3 laps to pass Rinaldi. Although the Italian rider did not buckle under pressure, Rea managed to get past him with ease. Michael Rubin Rinaldi eventually finished in second position as he claimed his third podium in 3 races. Although Rea won the race, he had a few big moments in the race, managing a superb save after running wide, and then he had to manage another save in turn 1 shortly after passing Rinaldi. Redding this time was unable to match the pace of the leading duo and came in third place. Leon Haslam secured a fourth place while Alex Lowe finished in fifth. Michael van der Mark came home in sixth position, while Toprak Razgatlioglu finished in seventh place. Loris Bass, Pedrico Caricasulo and Garrett Gerloff were among 5 Yamaha machines which made it to top 10. Eugene Laverty missed out on a top 10 place with an 11th place finish in the race. Marco Melandri took 12th place while Xabi Forres finished in 13th place. Matteo Ferrari secured points with a 14th place finish, while Roman Ramos of the Kawasaki team completed the race as a last classified runner in 16th place. Tom Sykes became the first retirement of the race as he pulled out into the pits on the opening lap. Maximilian Schiab crashed out on lap 4, while Alvaro Batista crashed out on turn 7 in lap 5. Chaz Davies was another one who retired from the race after a crash on lap 13. Sylvain Barrier also was not able to finish the race. So this race came to an end where Jonathan Rea again showed his dominance in World Superbike by claiming his 96th victory. Michael Rubin Rinaldi showed tremendous form as he finished in a podium position for the third race in a row. Scott Redding was not able to match the pace of Jonathan Rea in this race as he managed to finish third. So, these 3 riders took the top 3 honors of the podium in this race. Leon Haslam took the 4th position while Alex Lowe took the 5th position. Michael van der Mark rounded off the top 6 positions with a 6th position finish. So a phenomenal couple of weekends came to an end with these 3 races. In 2020, we have seen a trend now of new riders claiming podiums in both MotoGP and World Superbike racing. This fantastic turn of events, especially in MotoGP racing, has seen us has seen pundits not able to predict any sort of winner in the upcoming race. Now, especially in MotoGP, every rider looks to have a chance in the next round which came up. Every rider now looks to have a chance in every other race, as this has become an exciting season for all the MotoGP fans. This season, we've seen winners change position, new winners on the podium, and an open championship for the first time in so many years. This bodes fantastically well for the MotoGP and World Superbike racing as we go into another round of races with no idea or no clue about who is going to win the next race. So with this, the race weekend came to an end. We had tremendous action in all the three races during the last couple of weekends, and with more action coming up in the future weekends, we hope that all the races that we see are as exciting, as pulsating as the ones that we saw in the last few weekends. Now with this, we end the analysis episode of our podcast. We're going to bring you another episode of another similar sort of episode where we're going to discuss the general news from the motorcycling industry or the two-wheeler industry, and we'll give you an idea of what is happening or what kind of vehicles were launched and what were the main headlines in the two-wheeler industry. With this message, we end our podcast episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Follow us on social media to check out all the updates about the latest episodes of our podcast. And by the way, our podcast is available on YouTube as well. So you can go to our channel, Motorcycle TV, and check out the audio episodes of our podcast on YouTube. So we request you enjoy, listen, follow, share, subscribe, and do everything to support our podcast so that we can bring you more episodes and make it the premier podcast for the two-wheel industry in India. With this message, before we leave, we must say, ride safe, always wear your protective gear, and ride everywhere. But after the pandemic. Now, this important message, I, your favorite Mr. Motorcycologist, takes your leave, and we'll see you in the next podcast episode. Till then, it's goodbye from me. Ciao.